in the Motor City. Let's get you out to Comerica Park for the Boston Red Sox and Detroit Tigers.
2012 was a season to remember in Detroit and one to forget in Boston. Tonight in the Motor City, the Red Sox look to continue a bounce-back season that has the Motors of the American League's best record. The Tigers appear to be gearing up for another October run as leaders of the AL Central. Red Sox and Tigers tonight on Baseball Night in America. We welcome you to Comerica Park in Detroit for the third of a four-game weekend series between two division leaders, the Boston Red Sox and the Detroit Tigers. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Baseball Night in America. Kenny Albert along with Tom Verducci. Red Sox and Tigers have split the first two games of this series, and tonight Jim Leyland will send 10-0 Max Scherzer to the mound, the 28-year-old right-hander. All-Star game less than a month away on Fox, Tom, and Scherzer, a leading candidate to start the game for the American League.
He has to be in that mix. 10-0, you don't hear those numbers very often. He's trying to become the first pitcher since Roger Clemens back in 1997 to start 11-0. Top flight power pitcher, upper 90s velocity, and this streak actually goes back to last year. His last 18 starts, he has not lost.
And for the Red Sox, it will be 23-year-old right-hander Alan Webster making just his third Major League start.
First one on the road. This is a kid who was in the deal with the Dodgers last year, but not as a throw-in. He was a principal in this deal. John Farrell, the manager, told us that in spring training, Alan Webster had the best arm in all of camp. This is a guy who can bring it in the mid to upper 90s.
Quite the praise from his manager. Well, the All-Star game is coming to Fox next month, and these teams should be well represented. David Ortiz, the leading vote-getter among designated hitters. Miguel Cabrera, the reigning Triple Crown winner, has the most overall votes as he tries to repeat as American League MVP. Red Sox and Tigers next. Rain, third of a four-game series between the Red Sox and the Tigers. The Red Sox batting order brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. Jacoby Ellsbury will lead off, followed by Shane Victorino. Dustin Pedroia hits third. David Ortiz in the cleanup spot. Then first baseman Mike Karp. Left fielder Daniel Nava. Bottom of the order, the catcher Jared Saltalamacchia. Shortstop Stephen Drew. And the third baseman Jose Iglesias as the Red Sox get set to face Max Scherzer, who comes in with a record of 10-0 over his first 14 starts.
He's a guy I like to say has power in reserve. You'll see him cruise along, but with runners on base, he'll dial it up a notch, and he keeps that power deep into the game. And he's added a new wrinkle, literally, curveball.
Off to a terrific start. The opening pitch brought to you by Budweiser. From May to July, buying Budweiser benefits military families as Scherzer delivers. And we are underway in Detroit. Ball one to Jacoby Ellsbury, who has 3 hits in the series, 3 for 8 with 3 runs batted in. Fouled off to the left side. 1-1. Ellsbury, Victorino, and Pedroia for the Red Sox here in the top of the first against Scherzer, facing Boston for the first time this season. Loop into shallow left field, and it drops in for a leadoff single. So Ellsbury, who leads the American League with 31 stolen bases, on at first. Defensively for the Tigers, brought to you by Scotts, the official lawn care company of Major League Baseball. Around the infield, fielder Infante, Peralta, and Cabrera. From left to right in the outfield, Dirks, Jackson, and Hunter. The battery of Scherzer and Pena. As Shane Victorino steps in with Jacoby Ellsbury taking his lead off first.
And right away, he's going to draw a courtesy throw, but they'll have to play plenty of attention to Ellsbury over there at first base. Career success rate, 83%. That is outstanding on stolen base attempts. Scherzer does hold runners well. Like Justin Verlander, he's a very good athlete with a good spin move.
Victorino takes inside. He drove in 5 runs last night, which tied his career high. 4 hits in the game, including a home run, as the Red Sox defeated the Tigers 10-6 after a 4-3 walk-off win for the Tigers in the series opener on Thursday night. Scherzer once again throws over. Ellsbury has been caught only 3 times this year. He's 31 of 34, and he has more stolen bases than 8 teams, including the Detroit Tigers. Red Sox lead the American League in steals. 1-0 to Victorino. Scherzer missing away. 2 balls, no strikes.
Yeah, he's falling behind. I know it's early, but I think this is a big key to this game. You've got a team, the Red Sox, that see more pitches per plate appearance than anybody else in baseball. They rarely swing at first pitches. They're last in baseball in terms of putting the first pitches into play. Max Scherzer, to me, has to pound the strike zone early, especially with first pitch strikes. If the Red Sox give them, he has to take them and not pitch from behind.
2-0 to Victorino, in for a called strike. Now 2-1.
That's a situation even right there. It looked like Victorino was taking the pitch 2-0. Making Scherzer work a little more also gives Ellsbury some more pitches to work with over there at first base. The fastball away, shook off the changeup.
Ellsbury holds. Victorino swings and misses, now 2-2.
And you can already see Scherzer, even though hasn't made a lot of throws over the first base, he's doing a good job of holding that ball, not allowing Ellsbury to time his set position. Really don't want to get into patterns where guys on first base, he's seen 4 pitches all with the same timing. Much easier to get a jump.
Ellsbury goes, and the 2-2 is fouled back to the screen.
And I tell you, Kenny, that also, does a good job of holding the runner's feet in place. Runners hate that. That's why you see hitters a lot call timeout when the pitcher holds the ball for that long. Pretty good jump there at first base. You definitely don't want the runner to have his feet moving, trying to cheat a little bit inch by inch, but holding there at first base with his feet planted in the ground can delay a jump.
Ellsbury takes his lead. He does not go, and it's a base hit into the right field corner. Ellsbury in at third, so back-to-back singles here in the top of the first inning for Ellsbury and Victorino. And the Red Sox have runners on the corners with nobody out.
Yeah, it just looked to me like a changeup they left over the middle of the plate, wanted it away. Victorino's got that nice hole over there between first and second, shoots it through. That's just a miss on location. Good pitch, trying to get him to roll over for a double play ball. It's bad location.
Red Sox with 17 hits in last night's game. First two Red Sox with base hits tonight as Dustin Pedroia steps in. Scherzer missing low and away, ball one.
And once again, that's ball one to a hitter who rarely swings at first pitches and falling behind. So far, 3 batters. This is pure Red Sox baseball. Get deep into counts. You see the running game. Ellsbury distracting the pitcher first to third on a base hit.
Historically, the Red Sox have fared very well against Max Scherzer. In his 6 starts against Boston, he has an earned run average over 9. The 1-0 fouled back, and the 9 Red Sox in their starting lineup tonight coming into the game with a .426 batting average against Max Scherzer, 20 for 47.
I looked at some of those numbers. I thought there had to be a mistake. You know, some of that was due to a couple of years ago when Scherzer was really still working out some kinks in his delivery, but some very good numbers and power.
Scherzer, one of 5 major league pitchers to have reached 10 wins. Scherzer has not lost. He's 16-1 over his last 24 starts, 7-0 here at home this year. 1-1 to Pedroia. Infante to Peralta. Over to Fielder. So the Tigers turn 2. Coming in to score is Ellsbury on the double play grounder. Red Sox lead 1-0.
Well, that's a situation, Kenny, where you don't want to concede a run, but it's the next best thing for a pitcher. Take the 2 outs, first and third, high probability of a big inning, limit the damage to 1, and move on. Talk about good numbers against Max Scherzer. This guy here has done some damage.
6 for 10 with 2 home runs for David Ortiz in his career against Max Scherzer, who misses away ball 1.
And once again, you see David Ortiz there. There's no way he was swinging that pitch. That's a straight take right there. And again, for the 4th time, it's ball 1 for Max Scherzer.
Series opener Thursday night. Ortiz goes deep, his 15th home run of the season, number 416 of his major league career. Now 2-1.
And that's a man who enjoys his trips around the bases. He takes his sweet time. Of course, he hits a lot of them where you can stand there and watch it as well.
And Ortiz sends this one to deep right field, his 2nd of the series. Red Sox lead 2-0. Career home run number 417 for David Ortiz.
And that's exactly one of those home runs you can stand and admire because it was a no-doubter. Again, mislocation, trying to bury that ball in. It runs back into the barrel. of David Ortiz, actually on the backswing here, catches Brian Pena a little bit. That's a pitch he's trying to bury inside, either on the corner or miss farther in. Instead, he missed into the fat of the bat.
Mike Carp takes strike one. So, Tom, you talked about Ortiz and his career numbers against Scherzer. He is now 7 for 11 with 3 home runs. Scherzer finally ahead in the count, 0-2 on Carp.
And I'm sure that's what he's reminding himself next time he sees Ortiz. Get ahead. Well, David Ortiz right now is just, he's tough against anyone, but especially you fall behind 2-0.
He now has more home runs in this ballpark than any other visiting player. His 18th career home run at Comerica Park. He had been tied with Paul Konerko and Jim Thome.
That's really interesting because I would have figured it was somebody in the American League Central, where obviously you will play more games against an interdivisional rival.
Carp down on strikes, but the Red Sox score 2 for Alan Webster, getting ready to make his 3rd career start. 2-0 Boston. First in the American League Central. Their batting order brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live boss. Austin Jackson leads off, then Torrey Hunter. Miguel Cabrera hits 3rd. Prince Fielder in the cleanup spot. Victor Martinez the DH. Then shortstop Johnny Peralta. Bottom of the order, Andy Dirks, Omar Infante, and Brian Pena. As the Tigers get set to face Alan Webster, making his 3rd start. 1 good, 1 bad. No decision against Kansas City, and then a loss to Minnesota. He lasted only an inning and 2/3 in that one.
Well, I like to say there's little shades of Brown here. Kevin Brown. In fact, he's got that real heavy, hard sinker at 95, 96. And when I talk about menu selections, he's got a variety of pitches. He's got both 2-seam, 4-seam fastballs, changeup, slider, curve. I think he's still learning how to use all of his pitches.
Austin Jackson leading off for the Tigers. Did not play in last night's game. Had a bit of a hamstring issue, so he was given the night off. Back in tonight, working on a 6-game hitting streak. Jackson, Hunter, and Cabrera for the Tigers here in the bottom of the 1st inning. Red Sox with a 2-0 lead. 1-2 from Webster, high and tight. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Webster, an 18th round pick of the Dodgers back in 2008. North Carolina native, acquired last August in the 9-player deal. Bounce to the left side, and it gets past the shortstop, through it to center field for a base hit. So a leadoff single here in the bottom of the first inning for Austin Jackson. Check out the Red Sox in the field, brought to you by Scott's, the official lawn care company of Major League Baseball. Around the infield, it's Carp, Pedroia, Drew, and Iglesias. Nava in left, Ellsbury in center, Victorino in right. The battery of Webster and Saltalamacchia.
You know, Kenny, you talked about Webster being drafted 2008 by the Dodgers, 18th round. They gave him $20,000 to sign. He was a high school shortstop. Pitched a little bit towards the end of the season as a high school senior. And was throwing low 90s. Caught the attention of the Dodgers. Forgot about community college. But that's what I talk about, someone who's still learning how to use excellent stuff. Really has not been a pitcher for all that long.
And as you mentioned during our open, we spoke to his manager, John Farrell, who told us Webster was our best pitcher in spring training.
I thought that was high praise. I knew they liked him, but that really surprised me.
Jackson takes his lead off first, and Webster throws over. Webster 5-1 in 10 starts with AAA Pawtucket this season. In fact, he took a no-hitter into the 6th inning in his last start on Friday. He's had a bit of a control issue. He's hit 11 batters. In fact, he was suspended for 5 games following one of the incidents. Back-to-back base hits for the Tigers here in the bottom of the first inning after Ellsbury and Victorino started the game with back-to-back singles for the Red Sox in the top half.
This looked like one of those power sinkers that's up. See where the glove is Saltalamacchia. Now he has to bring it up and in. That's a two-seamer he wanted to get away and lower. You know, it's interesting. The Red Sox, when they had him in spring training, they did move him to the first base side of the rubber to play more to the strength of that sinker. And now he's really got his work cut out for him. It's tough enough pitching to Miguel Cabrera. Degree of difficulty goes up a lot higher with runners on base.
Welcome back to the major leagues, Alan Webster. So a 7-game hitting streak for Jackson, a 6-game streak for Torrey Hunter. And now it is the reigning Triple Crown winner and American League Most Valuable Player, Miguel Cabrera, who had 4 hits in last night's game and is working on his 7-game hitting streak.
You know, one thing I saw Webster do before he threw the first pitch that I liked was to walk off the mound and take a really deep breath. What I wasn't so thrilled about was when he warmed up, he threw everything out of the windup. So the first pitches he threw out of the stretch were after the hit by Jackson.
2 on, nobody out. The 1-0 to Cabrera. Webster missing low, ball 2. Cabrera this season with runners in scoring position. Ready for this, Tom? Batting .470.
Oh. He's just so good in every category, but it does seem the more pressure, the better he gets.
2-0 inside, ball 3.
Well, Miguel Cabrera does have a home run this year on a 3-0 count, but I'm not sure he's swinging right here against the pitcher he has not seen before, does not have command.
He does not swing, and he walks on 4 pitches. So the Tigers have loaded the bases with nobody out here in the bottom of the first inning, and Prince Fielder stepping to the plate.
Well, this is where Webster just really has to trust his stuff and not try to be better than he is. Yes, it's the big leagues. Yes, it's Prince Fielder at the plate. But his power sinker right now is what he needs. He needs a ground ball and a sinker running down and away from Fielder. Trust your stuff. He started him with a very nice changeup right there.
Fielder able to skip out of the way, now 1-1.
That's a run saver right there. Webster tried to throw an even better changeup than he threw the last one. He just yanked it. Nice job by Saltalamacchia by moving over and getting his body in front of that ball.
Fielder just 2 hits in his last 19 at-bats. Bases loaded. Nobody out. The 1-1 from Webster, now 1-2.
That looked like another good changeup with a really nice run on it. Watch this ball run away from Fielder.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Back-to-back singles for Jackson and Hunter. A walk to Cabrera on 4 pitches. Prince Fielder awaits the 2-2. Another block by Saltalamacchia, full count.
This is another changeup that he just pulls once again, just trying to be too good with his stuff. It's a fastball situation right here, but so far he has not had great command of that fastball.
Payoff pitch to Fielder, and he fouls it back. All-star manager Jim Leyland will lead the American League squad at Citi Field next month. His Tigers trail 2-0, bottom of the first inning. And Fielder is down on strikes.
Now this is some job to get back into this at bat here. Starts him out with that great changeup and tries to come back with another one, bounces it. There's the perfect changeup running away. Now this fastball misses, gets Fielder back in the count. Back to the changeup. I thought that was a really good fastball right there, and comes back with an even better one. Look at the sink on that ball. Now that's got to make him feel good, Kenny, because that to me is his security blanket. If he can go to that sinking fastball, throw it for strikes, or make it look like a strike and run it out of the zone, then all of a sudden he will settle down.
Strikes out Prince Fielder with the bases loaded for the first out of the inning. Here's Victor Martinez. And Martinez falls behind, 0-1. He has just 2 hits in his last 17 at-bats. 2 career grand slams, both against his former club, the Cleveland Indians. Martinez, well hit. Deep right field. It's out of here. Now Martinez has a grand slam against his other former ball club, the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, we talked about Webster reestablishing the confidence in the fastball. He threw a terrific one on the first strike, and that one just stayed in the heart of the plate. That's one of your best contact hitters in all of baseball. He's not going to miss that one.
So the Tigers now with a 4-2 lead here in the bottom of the first inning, as Martinez goes deep for the 6th time this season, his 3rd career grand slam.
You know, Kenny, I once asked Bryce Harper after his first year in the big leagues what he thought the biggest difference was between the minor leagues and the major leagues as far as the hitting goes. And he said in the major leagues, guys just don't miss their pitches. In the minor leagues, you may foul it off. You may swing and miss if a pitcher makes a mistake. In major leagues, you do not get away with mistakes. And Webster just learned that lesson right there, courtesy of Victor Martinez.
So Martinez, who spent a season and a half with the Red Sox, missed all of last season, takes Webster to deep right for his 3rd career grand slam here in the bottom of the first inning after the Red Sox scored 2 in the top half against Max Scherzer. 3rd grand slam of the season for the Tigers. Cabrera and Dirks have the others. 2-2 to Peralta, bounce foul off to the left side.
I mean, Kenny, it's easy to see this guy's stuff. I mean, you see when he executes pitches, the sink on that fastball, terrific changeups we've seen out of him. Really haven't seen much breaking stuff, but it's there. Consistency, that's something else.
Peralta down on strike, 2nd strikeout for Alan Webster.
That's another one of those great changeups. It's a guy we talked about, the talent. How about 8 swings and misses already here with 2 outs in the first inning? Yeah, there's been some hard contact. I think once again that speaks to the ability he has, the talent that he has. Now it's about consistency, and again, the menu of pitches that he has, how to use it.
So with 2 away, here's Andy Dirks, Tigers left fielder. Dirks went deep off John Lester last night. High-scoring game last night, 10-6 Red Sox win. Teams combined to score 6 runs in the first inning here tonight. 1-1 to Dirks, and a base hit past the diving Pedroia into right field. 4th hit of the inning for the Tigers.
You know, John Farrell described his changeup as a power changeup. He said sometimes that's another one right there. Sometimes he can throw it as high as 88, 89 miles an hour. We see mostly 84 to 86, mid-80s. He's going to get a visit to the mound right here.
How about the Tigers here at home, Tom? Batting average of .302, which leads the American League.
Think about that. You know, you're Alan Webster. You're making your first major league start on the road, and you're facing this lineup in this ballpark with those numbers.
Victor Martinez with a grand slam home run here in the bottom of the first. Omar Infante, the 8th Tiger to bat here in the first inning. He went 0 for 5 in last night's game. Batting .300 on the season, takes strike 1. Webster loaded the bases before he recorded it out. He struck out Prince Fielder with the bases loaded prior to the Martinez grand slam. Nothing in 2 on Infante.
And you know, John Farrell really wants to get his young pitcher through this inning without too many more pitches. It's already been an extremely stressful inning. You see, he was already at 31 pitches in this inning, throwing the majority of his pitches out of the stretch. That's tough on a veteran pitcher.
32nd pitch of the inning from Webster is strike 3. But The Tigers take the lead on this grand slam off the bat of Victor Martinez. Only 4 gives you EcoBoost fuel economy and a whole lot more. And by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live boss. Kenny Albert, Tom Verducci back in Detroit. A 4-2 lead for the Tigers. There's Alan Webster, who allowed 4 runs on 4 hits in the bottom of the first inning. Victor Martinez with his 3rd career grand slam for the Tigers as Daniel Nava leads off here in the second against Max Scherzer and takes a called strike. So when Scherzer left the field after the top of the first, he was trailing by 2. Now he takes the mound leading by 2 runs.
And he's used to this, Kenny. 10-0, you're doing something right, obviously. But run support is a big part of that. Leads all major league pitchers with about 7.5 runs per 9 innings. There you go, right there. So, yes, he's pitching well, but his teammates are definitely supporting him well.
You see Bartolo Colon on that list. He's the other American League pitcher with 10 wins. Lance Lynn, Jordan Zimmerman, Adam Wainwright in the National League have won 10 times this season. The 1-2 to Nava, who went 0 for 5 in last night's game. Long run for the left fielder Dirks, and he makes the catch to retire Nava. Tom, time now for our Ford keys to the game.
Well, for the Red Sox, and we've seen this early on, I think they need to be aggressive at bat against Scherzer and on the bases. I mean, he is just a put-away pitcher with 2 strikes. For the Tigers, well, I think they've done a good job already. Set the table for Cabrera and Fielder. It turned out that Victor Martinez was the one to cash in, but the table setters doing their job.
Cabrera helped set the table by drawing a 4-pitch walk. Fielder then struck out prior to the Martinez grand slam. Here's Saltalamacchia with 1 away. Fastball in for strike 1.
And now you see Scherzer now with the lead, really pounding the strike zone early in the count. What I meant by a put-away pitcher, you get 2 strikes against Scherzer, you're painted into a corner. Hitters this year are hitting .091 with 2 strikes against Max Scherzer. And no, I'm not playing bingo here, Kenny. That's .091. Only 19 hits all year on 2-strike counts.
Wow. Ground ball to the right side. Backhanded by Prince Fielder. The throw to first with Scherzer covering. to retire Saltalamacchia.
Nice job by Scherzer. Of course, it starts with getting off the mound in a timely fashion. They work on this all spring, but now he's got to catch and find the bag, and he does it. Maybe it wasn't as pretty. I think the Canadian judge only gave him an 8.5 on this, but he got it done.
But a 9.5 for Fielder, showing his athleticism.
Appropriately named right there.
With two away, here's Drew, and he takes a called strike. In case you joined us late, here's what you missed in the first inning. It took 27 minutes. A combined 6 runs, 53 pitches thrown. David Ortiz went deep for the Red Sox. And then it was Victor Martinez clearing the bases with a grand slam off Alan Webster. 1-1 to Drew. Easier play for Fielder this time. He will take it to the bag himself. Scherzer retires the Red Sox in order on 10 pitches in the second. Telecast presented by Ace Hardware, sponsored by Bud Light, Lime Arena, and introducing new Strawberita. The Joe Louis Fist in downtown Detroit. Tom, today is the 75th anniversary of the second Joe Louis Max Schmeling fight at Yankee Stadium. It lasted 2 minutes, 4 seconds as Joe Louis retained his heavyweight title 75 years ago today, June 22nd, 1938.
How long did it last?
2 minutes, 4 seconds.
How would you feel leaving the stadium after a 2-minute fight? You feel like you got your money's worth? You saw something historic, but don't blink.
Well, it did go down as one of the major sporting events of the 20th century. 75 years ago today. Here in Detroit, a 4-2 lead for the Tigers. Alan Webster allowing 4 runs on 4 hits in the first inning. Brian Pena, the only Tiger who did not bat in that inning as Detroit sent 8 men to the plate. Pena filling in for the injured Alex Avila, who is heading out on a rehab assignment in the minor leagues. Pena fouls it off to the left side. Now 2-2.
You know, we talked about the talent of Alan Webster and the swings and misses. earlier in this at bat, was the 12th swing and miss against Allen Webster. Keep this in mind. Max Scherzer is second in the league in strikeouts. Half of his starts this year, he has not had more than 12 swings and misses in the entire start.
Wow. Pitch is low, so the count is full with Austin Jackson waiting on deck. Base hit into the gap in left center off the bat of Pena. So the leadoff man is on for the Tigers once again as we check in. Time for a game break. Here's Greg Amsinger at the MLB Network studios. Greg?
Hey, guys, watch this. Carlo Quinton, first time he's faced that Greinke since he charged the mound and fractured his collarbone on April 11th. Greinke punches him out. 8-pitch at bat. Scoreless in the third. Kenny, Tom, back to you.
All right, thanks, Greg. So Zach Greinke wins the battle with Carlos Quinton. Leadoff man out for the Tigers as Austin Jackson steps in, singled, and came around to score in the first inning.
You saw Iglesias there positioned at third. He was in on the grass in the first pitch. I didn't quite get that. Austin Jackson, he doesn't bunt. He does not have any bunt hits. And it's not a bunt situation. He's moved back even with the bag right here. You see him there at third base, more even with the bag. He was up on the first pitch of that at bat. Not a bunt situation, obviously, and a guy who does not bunt for base hits.
Pena the runner on first. 1-1 to Jackson. Fouls it off down the right field line. Now 1-2. Austin Jackson sizzling since his return from the disabled list. 12 hits in 29 at bats. 7-game hitting streak. Awaiting the 1-2 from Webster. Now 2 balls, 2 strikes.
You know, that pitcher right there, a good example of when you're not quite finished as a pitcher. Don't want to throw a strike there, but you want to make it look like a strike. And that pitch was a ball as soon as it left his hand. As was that one. In other words, at 1 and 2, Kenny, you want to at least entice the hitter into protecting a larger plate with 2 strikes. But if it's a ball out of his hand, the hitter can rule it out easily and not be tempted.
Webster already up to 44 pitches through 32 in the first inning. Payoff pitch to Jackson. And the Red Sox turn the 6-4-3 double play. Well, next Saturday on Baseball Night in America, Red Hot Chris Davis and the Orioles host Robinson Cano and the Yankees. Some of you will see these Tigers as they visit the Rays. Brewers match up with the Pirates, Cubs and Mariners, Reds and Rangers. Baseball Night in America presented by Ace Hardware. Next Saturday, 7 Eastern, only on Fox. 2 out, bases empty. Torrey Hunter, slow roller. Iglesias tries to barehand it. Unable to scoop it up, and Torrey Hunter safe at first.
Yeah, you're talking about a premier defender at the shortstop position, learning how to play third base. This guy really didn't take any ground balls at third base in the spring. And this is obviously a do-or-die play. You just want to get that ball in the fingers of the hand. And he just doesn't get his fingers around the baseball. That just takes time and practice. He's obviously got great hands. Just couldn't handle that one.
So an infield hit for Hunter, his second hit tonight. Here's Miguel Cabrera, who walked on 4 pitches his first time up. Swings at the first offering from Webster and fouls it off, 0-1.
And I had a really interesting conversation with Brian Butterfield, who's essentially their infielders coach, about Iglesias and that transition to third base. He talked a lot about positioning in terms of the stance defensively. At shortstop, you're more upright, and he needs to consistently get into a lower stance at third base because it's more of a reactionary position than shortstop is.
He gets into that lower stance, and Cabrera fouls off the next pitch from Webster, now 0-2.
It's really a step in a dive position, where as shortstop you need to sprint more laterally. There's been a couple of cases this year where Iglesias has been more upright and his dive has been from high to low. And you want to be in that lower position so that your dive is more closer to the ground. You'll actually get some more balls that way.
Runner goes. Here's the throw. Down to second. Out at second is Pena. So Torrey Hunter caught stealing for the first time this season. Will return after these messages from your local Fox station. By Ace Hardware from Comerica Park in Detroit. We head to the third with the Tigers leading the Red Sox 4-2. Jose Iglesias leading off for Boston, and he takes strike one. 3 more hits for Iglesias last night, batting a sizzling .431. 44 hits in 102 at-bats for Iglesias. But he is retired in his first chance tonight in front of the fielder. We take you back as Torrey Hunter is caught stealing on a close play to end the last half inning. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, you almost saw something very rare. The Tigers last in stolen bases. Torrey thinks he's in there. That's a great job by Pedroia getting in front of the bag, and a great tag. He's one of the best at applying tags. Let's take a look right here. Finger on the base. Did he tag him yet? Doesn't look like it. Jim Leyland came out to argue. And it looks like he had a good argument, but obviously a futile one.
So Torrey gets his uniform dirty to no avail. As he is ruled out at second, and now Mike DeMuro, the third base umpire, says strike one. Kobe Ellsbury singled his first time up. Scherzer has retired 5 in a row since the Ortiz home run back in the first inning. His Tigers have taken a 4-2 lead.
And you saw the first pitch curveball. That was the new wrinkle we talked about at the top. Added that pitch this year. Ellsbury gets up there thinking, okay, Scherzer's been starting people with fastballs. Second time around, whoops, here comes the curveball and gets a half swing for the strike. Yeah, he'll throw that curveball 8 to 10 times a game, but that's just enough, Kenny, to have the hitter know that he has to protect against it. Great pitch, especially on first pitch.
He added the curve to his repertoire and has started his 2013 season 10-0. Here's the 1-2. Now 2 balls, 2 strikes on Ellsbury. Ellsbury, an all-star 2 seasons ago, finished second to Justin Verlander in American League MVP voting. Played in only 74 games last year. And now the 2-2 from Scherzer. Bounce to Prince Fielder. He says, look what I found. Steps on the bag to retire Ellsbury. Time for another game break. To the MLB Network studios we go. Here's Greg Amsinger.
Hey, Kenny, crazy game in Cleveland. Michael Bourne's second trip to the plate in the first inning, and he drives in 2. P.J. Walters walked 5, less than 2/3 of an inning. Indians up 6-2. Kenny, Tom, that's surprising.
We thought we had a high-scoring first inning here in Detroit.
A lot of concession sales in 1 inning in Cleveland.
Tigers lead over the Indians just 3 games. Strike one, Shane Victorino singled his first time up. Red Sox have hit into 4 straight ground ball outs. Miguel Cabrera will lead off for the Tigers in the bottom of the 3rd inning. He was at the plate when Torrey Hunter was caught stealing. So Cabrera, Fielder, and Martinez when we return a 1-2-3 third for Max Scherzer. Red Sox, as Miguel Cabrera steps in, heart of the order for the Tigers against Alan Webster. Here in the bottom of the third inning, Cabrera walked his first time up, and he was at the plate when Torrey Hunter was caught stealing to end the second inning. So another chance for Cabrera, with Prince Fielder looming on deck.
You saw Miggy swing at that first pitch. I was expecting that because he saw it. I got a good look at his stuff the first time before pitches out of the zone. He loves to attack strikes early in the count.
Now 1-2 on Cabrera.
There's so many numbers on Miggy Cabrera. I talked about swinging early in the count. How about this one? When he swings at the first or second pitch, he hits 450. 50 for 111.
Cabrera went around. Fourth strikeout for Alan Webster.
Once again, piling up the swings and misses. Not often you'll see Miggy really get fooled. That was on the breaking ball right there. Just couldn't stop. Wasn't able to read the spin on that breaking ball. Nice job by Webster.
Now 15 swings and misses for the Tigers tonight. And as you mentioned earlier, that is a very high number, especially for this point in the game.
You know, again, a guy like Scherzer, with all his strikeouts, he's had 7 starts with fewer than 15 swings and misses.
Fielder struck out with the bases loaded his first time up. Fastball missing away, now 2-1. Two and two on Fielder with Martinez on deck. Third major league start for Alan Webster. His first on the road. He allowed a first inning grand slam to Victor Martinez after loading the bases before recording it out. There's Juan Nieves, Red Sox pitching coach. We'll hear from Juan in a moment. We spoke with Juan between innings. Nice play by Pedroia for out number 2. So we asked Juan Nieves about the performance of Alan Webster over the first 2 innings.
Absolutely, he's a bit of a little jittery right now, but he's been making some great pitches after that. Changeup has been really working well. It seems like he's throwing the ball better from the stretch, so we're going to probably talk about that next inning. Probably staying from the stretch the remainder of the game and work on his delivery from the windup.
Juan, how much can you work with him in between innings?
Well, you know, there's some conversations between Salty, myself, and him, and Alan, and I think he's absorbing everything we got for him. But the biggest thing here is challenging the strike zone, attacking the glove, and that's the most important thing.
And Webster has settled down here in the third. He has retired Cabrera and Fielder. Martinez with a big blow in the first inning, clearing the bases with his third career grand slam.
You know, that was interesting to hear Juan talk about the possibility of having Webster go to the stretch position, especially right now. He looks comfortable out of the windup. Finally, he's able to stay away from the stretch. He's pitched with so much stress on him the first couple of innings. He does seem to be settling down into a better rhythm right now. But as we talked to Juan Nieves during that discussion, Kenny, watching Webster go out to the mound and warm up, once again, he threw all of his warm-up pitches out of the windup. It's always a good idea to mix in pitches out of the stretch when you warm up, especially because the most important pitches you have to execute come out of the stretch position.
Now 3-1 on Martinez. Following the third out of this inning, Tom, We will go to a very special commercial break where we never leave the field here in Detroit.
You got to explain that one to me. How do we go to a commercial and never leave the field?
Well, Victor Martinez will not leave the field. He heads down to first. You'll have to tune in during the break.
Oh, you've got me interested now.
And then after the special commercial break, we will chat live with the reigning American League Most Valuable Player and Cy Young Award winner, Justin Verlander. So a lot coming up over the next 5 to 10 minutes.
Oh, and we have some very interesting questions.
Yes, we
for
do.
Justin Verlander.
So Martinez on at first with 2 away. Here's Peralta. Struck out his first time up and takes strike 1. Nothing in 2 on Peralta. Terrific season for Peralta, who was an all-star back in 2011. Jim Leland told us earlier he prepares as well as any player he has ever managed.
High praise indeed.
But he strikes out for the second time tonight. But we never really left. You had to look at Max Scherzer warming up, David Ortiz, Torrey Hunter chatting with the umpires. What do you think?
I thought it was really cool. Yeah, I mean, you said Torrey Hunter chatting with the umpires. I guess you couldn't call it a continuation of his argument, but a little clarification. Very interesting watching that.
And now Scherzer is set to face Pedroia, Ortiz, and Carp here in the top of the 4th inning. And speaking of cool, we will be joined live by the 5-time All-Star Justin Verlander from the Tigers dugout. Justin, are you jealous about this run support that Max continues to get from your teammates this season?
No, not at all, man. Every win's crucial at this level. So, you know, hey, if he gets all the run support in the world, that's fantastic. We need every win we can get. So, you know, hey, keep scoring them, boys.
Well, 7.5 runs per game with Max on the mound this season, and Victor Martinez, of course, hitting the grand slam in the bottom of the 1st inning for you guys tonight.
Hey, Justin, I wanted to ask you about the way I call it power in reserve with with Scherzer out there, where he seems to cruise along, and then when he needs that extra gear, he finds it. And I know you went through that transition as well. Sort of reminds me of hitting your driver. You know, you don't always have to bomb it, right?
Yeah.
Talk about how long it takes to get to that point to know that you don't have to max out with the fastball.
Yeah, you know, I think it takes a while. You need to be extremely comfortable with yourself at the major league level. You know, to know that you don't have to give it 100% on every pitch. You know, location can get guys out as well, and you know, it's funny the way it works. You know, you locate your pitches, and it's not, you know, necessarily, you know, upper 90s, and you get a lot more easy contact with a well-located fastball, so you can get through later innings.
Pedroia flies out to Torrey Hunter in right. Justin, tell me about the life-size bobblehead. You were one of 6 Detroit sports stars as part of the Fox Sports Detroit April in the D promotion. We're taking a look at it now.
Yeah, I saw it for the first time yesterday. You know, I don't want to be too harsh on it. They got the facial hair right.
I mean, explain the feeling when you're actually staring at a life-size bobblehead of yourself. Not many of us get to experience that.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of a weird experience. Especially they had a camera on me trying to get my reaction to seeing it. So, you know, it's just kind of weird. You know, it's weird seeing that first mini bobblehead. You know, the normal size, and then you see this life-size one. It's like, holy cow! It's you know, it's pretty cool, and you know, it's a nice promotion they were doing around the city.
It looks like the world's greatest garden gnome. Is that going home with you?
Yeah, I'm gonna stick it right in my front yard. You know, on nice windy days, it'll have a little bobble to it. It'll be a nice centerpiece in my front yard.
David Ortiz at the plate. He homered back in the first inning. Fouls it back to the screen. Now, home run derby coming up. And the All-Star game, of course, July 16th on Fox. Home run derby the night before. Have you lobbied the American League captain, Robinson Cano? I know you put it out there that you would love to participate.
No, I haven't quite gotten in his ear yet. You know, didn't have the opportunity. You know, I put on a pretty impressive show at 5 o'clock. I know, you know, and the irony of this whole thing is I don't have a base hit in 7 years. I'm 0 for 7 years. So that's kind of the fun I've had with it. You know, it's funny. I woke up one morning and checked my Twitter, and some lady had tweeted me that she wrote me in for the home run derby, and I was like, God, that's a funny thing, and that's a good idea. So let's I just retweeted that and got a little bit of a lobbying for it, and just had some fun with it. Obviously, it's not going to happen, but I think I heard I got like 85,000 votes, which is pretty cool.
2-2 to Ortiz, and he fouls it off to the right side. Now, speaking of Twitter, how about this tweet from your brother Ben, who made his professional debut this week for the Connecticut Tigers of the New York Penn League, 14th round draft pick by the Tigers. And I think you're giving Big Brothers a bad name because this is outstanding. Your gift to Ben when he signed his contract with the Tigers. We're taking a look at it right now.
Yeah, you know, I had kind of been waiting. I expected to get it for him when he graduated college. I was going to get him a car, and you know what? He went out and had a fantastic junior year and really made leaps and bounds as a baseball player, and ended up getting drafted in the 14th round. So he kind of sped up that process. But you know, I'm a proud big brother. Couldn't be more proud of him, and it was just a congratulations, and you know, wish him best of luck in his professional career.
And so, if he needs help with his hitting, he just calls out Big Brother, right?
Yeah, right. I think it's the other way around there.
Hey, speaking of hitting, David Ortiz, we see in the box, he's got just incredible numbers against Max Scherzer. He's got some pretty good numbers against you as well. What's the difficulty with Ortiz?
Well, I think he's difficult on any pitcher, really. You know, and you see Max strike him out there, which is nice, but. You know, he's one of the best hitters in the game of baseball, and you know, when you face those guys, it's you know, it's always difficult. It's always a grind. You need to focus on every pitch. So you know, you make your pitches. Good pitching beats good hitting, but you know, you make your mistakes, and especially against somebody like him, he's gonna do damage sometimes.
2 away with Mike Karp at the plate as Scherzer has now retired 9 in a row. Karp struck out his first time up. Justin, how about being a member of this rotation? Max Scherzer talked earlier this week about pushing the bar so high for one another. Torrey Hunter says it's the best rotation that he's ever been a part of as far as his teammates.
Yeah, you know, I'll tell you what, it's a whole lot of fun, you know, being part of this rotation. These guys, you know, night in, night out, go out and give us a chance to win. And, you know, it's competitive, and pitching's contagious just like hitting is. You know, we're all competitive guys. We wouldn't be at this level if we weren't. So, you know, the guy out before you, he goes out and does a great job. You want to one-up him. It's just their natural tendency. So, When we get on a roll as a starting staff, it's pretty impressive. You saw some numbers we put up in like 15 straight starts. It was quality starts, something like that. And, it's a lot of fun just being one of those 5 guys that on a nightly basis gives us a chance.
And Justin, how about you and Max specifically? How much are you able to kind of crib off one another, maybe attacking hitters you have problems with, going to the other guy for advice?
Yeah, that happens a lot. Max and I have different viewpoints a lot. He's a big sabermetrics guy. Oh, geez.
Carp heading down to second.
And third.
Terrific play-by-play from Justin Verlander.
I had a bird's-eye view of that one, man. I was right on line with Max's throw.
I also like, Justin, how you referred to the graphic about the pitching staff a moment ago, checking out the monitor.
No, I'm not checking out the monitor. No.
You're that good.
Yeah, I'm just, I'm a professional. No, and I was talking about Max being a sabermetrics guy, and I'm not quite that way. So we have differing viewpoints on things, and we like to talk about that a lot. We actually, we have differing viewpoints, so we get in friendly arguments. I'd call them, where we banter back and forth about different things, and you learn a lot of information that way. So we have fun with it.
I mean, you don't pay attention to batting average on balls in play.
You look at some stuff, but he's much more in depth than I am.
Now Daniel Navas steps in with Carp at third following an infield hit and the error charged to Scherzer. Navas takes a called strike. Fouled out to the left fielder Dirks. His first time up. As Scherzer looks to get out of this inning with the Tigers leading 4-2, and Justin Verlander, the reigning American League Most Valuable Player and Cy Young Award winner, joining us from the Tigers dugout. 0-2 on Nava.
Justin's done a great job on headset throughout the years, getting his team runs.
Yeah, you guys are doing it at the wrong time.
Yeah, you're sweating this one out a little bit here with a runner on third base.
Yeah, I'm always on the headset when we're at the plate, and I've got some good mojo going doing that. But God, I hope it works the other way right here too. No runs.
The 0-2 from Scherzer missing away as we check out the numbers since the start of last season. 26 wins for Max Scherzer and 25 for Justin Verlander, number 2 and 3 in strikeouts, trailing Yu Darvish. Have you guys talked about heading to New York for the All-Star game next month?
No, that's one of those things you don't really talk about. You don't want to you don't want to jinx it one way or the other, so you just see what happens, and hopefully your peers vote for you. It's all you can do.
1-2 to Nava.
All right, I'm off the
you're
hook.
safe. Nice job.
Dirks makes the catch. Justin, as always, thanks for joining us.
Yep, thanks, guys.
Good luck in the home run derby. Alan Webster, third major league start, allowed a first inning grand slam to Victor Martinez. All the runs in this game scored in the first inning. Red Sox with 2 in the top half. Bottom of the order for the Tigers, Andy Dirks, Omar Infante, and Brian Pena. Dirks singled to right his first time up. And on the first pitch here in the fourth, a base hit to right field once again, so Dirks is 2 for 2. Tigers have had the leadoff man on now in 3 of the 4 innings tonight against Webster. Here's Omar Infante, struck out his first time up. Third baseman Iglesias in on the edge of the grass. First pitch, Infante shoots it into right center. And the catch is made by the center fielder Ellsbury for out number 1. Well, this year, Fox Sports Supports is proud to partner with Stomp Out Bullying, the leading national anti-bullying organization for kids and teens in the United States. Stomp Out Bullying focuses on preventing bullying and all forms of digital abuse. It educates against racism and hatred, deters violence in schools and online, and helps at-risk students. To learn how you can help, please visit StompOutBullying.org. One away, here's the number 9 hitter, Pena, who singled his first time up. Now has a 4-game hitting streak. Pena spent the last 4 seasons in Kansas City after 7 years in the Braves organization. Dirks goes, swing and a miss by Pena, and the throw down to second is not in time. Dirks with his 6th steal in 6 attempts this season.
I think that's a case where you run on the pitcher and get a good jump right here. See, it's a hit and run, risky with all the swings and misses that Webster has had tonight. But Dirks has enough of a jump here. Watch him peek in here. That's how you know it's a hit and run. He's had enough of a good jump there to get the bag. It's a tough guy to hit and run against when you have so many swings and misses.
Another swing and miss, now 1-2.
For a slide, reaching for the back end of the base and gets in. But you can see, Kenny, that John Farrell called it the power changeup from Alan Webster. A lot of these swings and misses have been on that changeup.
Again, it is Ellsbury. Pena retired, 2 away. Time now for the Own Your Space Pitcher Profile, brought to you by Avis. Alan Webster on the road this season, pitching for AAA Pawtucket. Earned run average of 1.42. He was 5-1 overall in AAA. With 2 outs, here's Austin Jackson. Singled and scored in the first, grounded into a double play in the second.
Once again, changeup. The Tigers just are not recognizing it. What that tells you is he's got the same arm action, same arm speed on the changeup as he does on the fastball.
Now 18 swings and misses against Webster. Up the middle, base hit. Dirks around third, heading home. Throw is cut off. Dirks scores. Tigers now lead 5-2. 16th run batted in of the season for Austin Jackson on his second hit tonight.
Nice job by Jackson, jumping on a fastball up in the zone. 94 out and over the plate. And that's where Austin Jackson lives, right up the middle.
So the Dirk stolen base leads to the Tigers' 5th run.
Yeah, it's only the 22nd stolen base of the season for the Tigers, last in baseball, but that was a big one right there. It pays off.
Here's Torrey Hunter, who has 2 hits tonight. Hunter now 5 for 10 in this series.
You know, Kenny, when I talked about Austin Jackson living up the middle, how about this on the spread of his hits? 9 to left field, 9 to right field, 36 to center field.
Wow.
Defense here against Torrey Hunter, a little shaded over in center field towards the right side, but the shortstop Drew really shaded over to Polk.
Another swing and miss, 0-2 on Hunter.
Well, I want to say that of those 19 swings and misses, the vast majority have been on that changeup. I think it's a pitch, Kenny, that he can double up and triple up on. Seems like, you know, he wants to mix up his pitches more than he should. Stick with what's working.
Line drive caught by the third baseman Iglesias to end the inning. Tigers add a run. They now have a 5-2 lead for Max Scherzer, going for win number 11. Top of the 5th inning in Detroit. Jared Saltalamacchia will lead off for the Red Sox against Max Scherzer, who has retired 10 of the last 11 batters he has faced. And he has thrown 11 consecutive first pitch strikes, make it 12 in a row.
And you'd like to see him, if you're a Tigers fan, to see him mixing in that curveball as well in those first pitch strikes. Just did it again.
One and one on Saltalamacchia, who has the longest last name in Major League Baseball history. It is Italian for jump over the tall shrub, in case you were wondering. So jump over the tall shrub, grounds out to Infante, the second baseman. So one away here at the top of the fifth inning in Detroit, as we check out the Fox Sports 1 pitching comparison presented by Fox Sports 1, America's new sports network, coming this August.
You know, what we don't see there is swings and misses. And we talked about Alan Webster's got 19 swings and misses in this game. I'll give you an idea of just how many, that's a lot, that is. You take the 29 starts combined this year by Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer, two of the best strikeout pitchers in all of baseball. Combined, they've had that many in a game once this year.
Wow.
By Verlander. Scherzer hasn't done it at all.
You think Scherzer would know that off the top of his head? Justin Verlander told us how analytical Max Scherzer is about the game of baseball.
He's a sabermetrician. I'm not sure he would know that off the top of his head, but he would know where to find it. Well, I will say that I've talked to Max about this. One of the numbers he really likes is first pitch strikes. Really important to him. He's a little bit above the major league average for the season, about 61%. Major league average about 59%. And you saw once they gave him that lead, he went into really attack mode with first pitch strikes. And again, the Red Sox are a team that they'll give you first pitch strikes. They're a team that likes to drive up pitch counts, see a lot of pitches, and I think Scherzer's MO right here with the lead has been exactly what was called for.
2-2 on Drew, with Iglesias up next. Full count. Red Sox scored 2 in the top of the first inning, including a solo home run off the bat of David Ortiz, his 16th of the season. But the Tigers would answer in the bottom of the first on a Victor Martinez grand slam. Drew strikes out, now 2 away. Time for a game break from the MLB Network studios. Greg Hamsinger. Greg?
Kenny, thank you. After the pitcher, Patrick Corbin, ruined Mike Leake's perfect game in the 6th inning, the next batter, Gerardo Parra, steps up and tees off to right field and Chase Field. My goodness, 2-1. The Snakes now have the lead in the top of the 7th inning. Kenny, time back to you in Detroit.
All right, thanks, Greg. Diamondbacks, first place of the National League West. Take a 2-1 lead over the Reds. Here is Iglesias. Rounded out his first time up tonight. His 18-game hitting streak came to an end on Wednesday. Tied for the longest in the American League this season.
This is a confident pitcher to me. 3-2 changeup. What I liked about that was he went directly to his changeup grip.
Long run for the right fielder Hunter, and it drops in. It's a fair ball. Iglesias heading for second, and he overrides the bag and then is tagged out. So Iglesias with a single, out at second after he stumbled. Tag applied, inning over. Ace Hardware is sponsored by Chevrolet. Find new roads. Bottom of the 5th inning in Detroit. Kenny Albert, Tom Verducci. Tigers lead the Red Sox 5-2. As Miguel Cabrera steps in to lead off against Alan Webster. 4-pitch walk in the 1st inning, and then Webster won the battle by striking out Cabrera in the 3rd. Well, yesterday, Cabrera starred in a promo for Fox Sports 1, America's new 24-hour sports network. Fox Sports 1 will be your home for great live sports, all the news and highlights you want, and shows and specials that only Fox could bring you. America's new sports network, Fox Sports 1, coming August 17th. Cabrera, the American League Triple Crown winner a season ago. He has led the American League in batting each of the last 2 years. And no player in either league, Tom, has led the league in batting in 3 consecutive seasons since Rogers Hornsby of the Cardinals did it back in the 1920s.
Wow. I mean, look at this. He's the Triple Crown winner since over the last 4 years. That's pretty impressive.
Bounce to the shortstop, Drew. Fires across, and Cabrera is retired.
I mean, what isn't impressive with that guy? I mean, like I said, you can find so many different numbers. You know, clearly he's the best hitter in the game. But to me, it's more than that right now, Kenny. I think we're looking at a guy who's on the top of his game at the absolute peak. Could last a long time, too.
Cabrera 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. So Webster will leave with the memory of the Cabrera ground out, the last batter he faced tonight. Runs in 4 1/3 innings in his 3rd major league start. Juan Nieves, pitching coach, on his left with a pat of encouragement. Webster threw 82 pitches, and he will be replaced by the left-hander Franklin Morales, making his 6th appearance of the season.
Yeah, that's a great job by Nieves there to, make sure that Alan Webster understands all the good things he did in this game. I'm sure he's disappointed about the score, But think about the way this game started in that first inning. Jumping on him for 4 runs, 5 batters into the game. He did a nice job of not letting the entire game get away from him.
Prince Fielder 0 for 2 tonight. And check out his batting average, Tom, against left-handed pitchers this season, 337. Prior, just 262. Terrific article in Sports Illustrated last week by Michael Rosenberg mentioned that the Tigers added a left-handed batting practice pitcher this year. And Fielder attributes that as one of the big reasons why he has fared much, much better against left-handed pitchers this season.
That's a great point. I don't understand why every club doesn't have one. It seems to be a rather small investment with a bigger payoff. Obviously, the more you see left-handers, and that does include batting practice, the more chances you'll have of success. Remember Ken Griffey Jr. talking about his dad throwing to him. Seeing a left-handed pitcher just seemed natural for a left-handed hitter.
Two balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Bottom of the 5th inning in Detroit. Morales missing away, full count. Victor Martinez with a first inning grand slam waiting on deck. Payoff pitch to Fielder. Again, Morales missing away, ball 4, so Fielder heads down to first. Well, this July, baseball's greatest stars gather in the most exciting city in the world for the biggest event of the summer. It's the Midsummer Classic, returning to New York, home field advantage of the World Series on the line. The 2013 Major League Baseball All-Star Game from Citi Field, July 16th, only on Fox. Jim Leyland will manage the American League squad at the All-Star Game. It will be his 3rd trip as the All-Star skipper. Managed in the All-Star Game back in '98, National League and the American League in 2007. The leading vote getters at each position in the American League.
Very interesting because we saw that those names, great names obviously, somebody has to bat 7th, 8th, and 9th. And we had a great conversation with Jim Leyland. He said that's one of the things he really enjoys about the All-Star Game, making out the lineup. As he said, it's like I have an All-Star at every position.
And unlike the past years, he really doesn't have a say in more than 6 or 7 players who will be added to the roster. Base hit down the left field line. Fielder around second, heading for third, and he's being waved home. The throw is cut off. Fielder scores. Tigers now lead 6-2. 5th run batted in tonight for Victor Martinez.
95 balls up, and he gets his hands on top of that pitch. Very easy to get under that and pop it up. Iglesias, no chance on this ball. I really like the job that Tom Brookins, the third base coach, did. Watch how far he gets down the line. He's watching this ball to see if it's handled cleanly, how it bounces off the wall. Now he's going to send him. But you see how far he is down the line. He's buying himself time to make a decision. If that ball kicks hard off the wall to the left fielder, he may stop them. But the ball really didn't kick hard off the wall, stayed there. Great job by Brookins. I never understood some of these third base coaches who don't get down the line. You really are not buying yourself time to let the play out.
So the Tigers' lead is now 6-2. Martinez, the runner on second, with 1 out. Peralta with a base hit into the left field corner. Martinez scores easily. It is now a 7-2 Tigers lead. 33rd run batted in of the season for Johnny Peralta.
Johnny Peralta is so good at hooking the ball. Anything off speed, that's what he does. We saw him do it the other night, ending the game against Andrew Bailey on a slider left up on the zone. That off-speed pitch up in the zone, he loves to hook those pitches down the line. His power is really to left field side, his extra base power, especially on off-speed pitches.
So here's Andy Dirks, who has 2 hits tonight. Morales on in relief of Webster, has not retired a batter. He walked Fielder. Run scoring double off the bat of Martinez, and then Peralta with the RBI single. Dirks fouls it off to the left side. So during our chat with Jim Leyland, we were talking about his responsibilities as far as adding players to the All-Star roster and following the fan vote and the player vote. Leyland will be involved in selecting 5 pitchers. He will also choose the final 5 for the fan vote and somewhere around 3 position players. But if certain teams are not represented, he obviously has to go with a player from one of those clubs.
Yeah, managers take a lot of heat. You see Dirk swing through that one for, everybody likes to talk about the snubs every year, which guys are left off the team that are deserving. But really, managers get more heat than they deserve for those decisions, because you're right. When you come down to it, they really only have a handful of decisions to make. Sometimes they're limited by the roster construction as well.
Dirks with a base hit. His 3rd hit tonight. 3rd consecutive hit for the Tigers, who have runners on first and second with only 1 out. And Leyland also added a couple of coaches to his all-star staff. Will bring the entire Tiger staff with him. He asked Robin Ventura to come to New York, a former New York Met who had some terrific seasons with the Mets. And John Gibbons, who also played for the Mets, manager in Toronto. Leyland says he was very impressed with the fact that Gibbons went back to manage in Double-A after his initial managerial stint with Toronto, and then he was a coach with the Kansas City Royals, did not get another job in the major leagues, and it impressed Leyland that Gibbons went back to Double-A.
Yeah, so essentially everybody has some kind of Mets connection there, huh? Gibbons, Ventura, Davey Johnson is on the staff. Homecoming week for the New York Mets.
Yeah, David Johnson and Terry Collins added to the National League coaching staff. Johnson, of course, led the Mets to the 1986 World Series. Collins, their current manager. Leyland also told us it's a lot easier managing the All-Star game with the designated hitter. You don't have to worry about double switches, pitching changes, batting for the pitcher. He said that certainly makes it easier on the manager.
Yeah, listen, I love the fact that we have different rules in both leagues. I think it's, kind of that one league with the DH, one without. I'm fine with that, but I'm okay with not having a DH or not having the pitcher bat in the All-Star game. I never really understood why they did that.
And nobody wants to see the pitchers hit in an All-Star game.
No, and there's so many guys on the roster. You do want to see as many get into the game.
And Fonte shoots it into right for out number 2.
And we saw that last out Iglesias made by that stumble into second base where he had really an easy double. Watch him as he nears the bag. Looks like he blew a tire going to second base. And it looked something was really bothering him there. I think that's a pad he had on his ankle or somewhere on his leg that really flew off there, and he stumbles. But look at the grimace there. And I noticed watching him on a foul ball the previous at bat, running after it, he was definitely favoring his leg. I think they're checking on him now. Are you okay? Maybe they're talking about positioning, but throughout this inning there, he has not looked 100%.
First pitch to Pena in for strike 1. Morales finally retires a batter after the first 4 reach base here in the bottom of the 5th inning. After this half inning, another special commercial break where We never leave the field here in Detroit.
So you have to stick around for that. You get to see all the stuff you missed all these years.
You can wait another half inning to go get the chips and salsa.
No. You can't do that now, right? You definitely have to wait. This is not the time to hit the fridge.
7-2 Tigers, bottom of the 5th inning. Pena, right field. Victorino makes the catch. Tigers score 2, add to their lead. Stay with us. Jim Lynch and the folks who bring you the sights from Comerica Park in Detroit tonight. As you stuck with us, you saw Max Scherzer head out to the mound. He fell behind 2-0 in the top of the 1st inning, but as has been the norm this season, his teammates have scored 7 runs for Scherzer. He leads the majors in run support for a starting pitcher, 7.5 per game.
And that was very instructional, and I'll tell you why. That was a long inning. Scherzer got out to the mound quickly. His catcher made the last out, so it would take him time to get the gear on. Remember, there was a pitching change. The Tigers scored a couple of runs. He took the extra time to throw extra pitches. He got out to the mound quickly. The rest of his team was in no hurry to get out there, but he bought himself extra warm-up pitches.
And now he will face the top of the order, Jacoby Ellsbury, leading off for the Red Sox. Ellsbury 1 for 2 tonight.
See the things that you can learn by not going to the fridge?
This might become a trend.
Not going to the fridge?
Or at least waiting an extra half inning. The 0-2, and Ellsbury shoots it down the left field line. Ellsbury on his way to second. And he is in with a stand-up double.
Nice job by Ellsbury on the 0-2 pitch. Kind of a waste pitch or chase pitch up and away fastball. He does a nice job getting on top of this and hitting it the other way. You saw how high Pena had to reach for that ball. Ellsbury's definitely a guy who uses the entire field, and right there in protect mode does a nice job slapping that ball to the other side.
So with Ellsbury on at second, here's Shane Victorino, who drove in 5 runs in last night's game. Victorino tonight is 1 for 2, and he takes strike 1 for Max Scherzer.
That was one of those rare 2-strike count hits off of Max Scherzer. Talked about this 0-91 in those counts, our hitters this year coming into this game.
0-1 to Victorino, bounce foul off to the right side. Scherzer, born in St. Louis, attended the University of Missouri. Big 12 pitcher of the year back in 2005. First round pick by the Diamondbacks. Now in his 4th season in Detroit.
This is why he's so tough. You just have so many pitches to protect against in so many quadrants of the zone. One with the fastball away. He's got the slider. He's got the curveball now. He doesn't throw a lot of those on 2 strikes as a put-away pitch, but it's there if he wants to. Of course, that changeup, just like the one we saw from Alan Webster, a swing-and-miss pitch.
One-two to Victorino, swing and a miss. Strikeout number 4 for Max Scherzer. Our Fox Sports 1 game summary presented by Fox Sports 1, America's new sports network, coming this August. Victor Martinez with a first-inning grand slam. He's driven in 5 runs. Ortiz took Scherzer deep in the first inning. But Scherzer sailing along since the Ortiz home run. Dustin Pedroia 0 for 2. Grounded into a double play and fly to right. We talked about that Scherzer curveball, and beautiful curve right there for strike 1 to Pedroia.
Yeah, we've seen that now 3 times, all on first pitches. The hitter is just not expecting. It's really a free strike for Max Scherzer. You see, he doesn't have to bury that curveball. It's so unexpected. He can throw it in the middle of the zone and get the call and the look from the hitter.
Now the fastball is popped up. Right field. Torrey Hunter, 2 away. So with 2 outs and Ellsbury on at second, here comes David Ortiz, who went deep in the first inning. We'll look at his career numbers and ranks as a designated hitter. So 367 home runs as a DH, 417 in all.
Well, that's impressive. You lead your position, if you want to call it a position, in every category, essentially. You know, they give an award every year to the best designated hitter, and they call it the Edgar Martinez Award. I'm not sure if it would be fair to Edgar to rename it. David Ortiz annually contending and often winning that award.
And Tom, at the age of 37, David Ortiz reached the 50 RBI mark faster than any prior season in his major league career. Did it 53 games this year.
He actually gets better as he gets older. The last 3 seasons, you're talking about, what, 35 to 37, he's hit 311. He's a 281 career hitter.
Ortiz already with 1 home run today. He has 38 career multi-home run games as a Red Sox. 1 more than Ted Williams. 2-2.
I like how the way the Tigers defend Ortiz. It's not the extreme shift. You see Peralta there, well on the shortstop side of the bag at second base. I think with runners in scoring position, David Ortiz uses the entire field more than he would with nobody on base, especially when he's home at Fenway Park, where that wall turns fly balls into doubles.
2-2 from Scherzer, just missing outside, full count.
Yeah, that may be part of it as well. You see Scherzer working away to David Ortiz. We saw his first time up what happens when you come in and miss. Winds up with someone going home with a souvenir at right field.
As we saw in the first inning.
He hits them majestically too, doesn't he? He does not scrape the wall very often. You know, as Max Scherzer knows, they have a stat for everything these days. They even time home run trots. And you can guess where this guy stands.
Who exactly is they?
People with a lot of time on their hands. We live in the era of big data. Doesn't mean it's all useful or interesting, but it's there if you want it.
Max Scherzer wants it. Not a home run trot, but he wants the data.
No, I thought that was interesting. It sounded like, you know, they got some old school, new school between the two of those guys, Verlander and Scherzer.
Payoff pitch to Ortiz. Center field. Austin Jackson, long run. He looks up and makes the catch. So Ortiz is retired. Miguel Cabrera due up third for the Tigers when we return.
Lewis, Nelson Cruz going the other way in a rematch of the 2011 World Series. That's gone. His 19th of the year. Rangers doubling up the Cardinals right now, 4-2. How about the Mets? They were down 6 runs in the 7th, came back to tie it at 7, only to watch Kevin Franzen end the game with a walk-off homer. The Phillies are still 3 games under 500. They win 8-7. Send it back to Kenny and Tom in Detroit.
All right, thanks, Greg. So a walk-off home run in Philadelphia. Here in Detroit, 2 home runs in the first inning. Ortiz solo, and then Victor Martinez with a grand slam.
For me, the definition of greatness is making the difficult look easy. Watch Austin Jackson. He's up here at the top of your screen. Watch his head. It never leaves the ball. He has this ball tracked the entire time. He's closing in on the wall, but he doesn't have to look for it. He had that ball from the moment he took his first stride measured without ever taking his eyes off the baseball. And you saw how close he wound up to the wall when he made the catch. That, to me, is making the difficult look easy. That's a great catch.
And now, amazingly, Tom, as you talk about Austin Jackson's defense, he leads off for the Tigers here in the bottom of the 6th.
And that's never happened before in baseball, where someone made a great catch and they led off the next inning.
Never.
We're seeing something special.
Jackson, 2 hits tonight, drove in a run his last time up. Strikeout number 1 for Franklin Morales. So one away here in the Tigers' 6th as Torrey Hunter steps to the plate. On Sunday, Torrey hit his 300th career home run. Check out this list. Outfielders with at least 300 home runs and 9 Gold Glove awards. 2 of them are in the stadium tonight. Torrey Hunter and the great Al Kaline.
One of the nicest men in baseball. Actually, you could say that about Al and Torrey Hunter.
That's right.
That is some rare company that Torrey Hunter joined. What a great career he's had.
You and I had the opportunity to share an elevator ride with Al Kaline before the game tonight. Always smiling.
Always smiling, always accessible. I mean, you know what Ernie Banks is to the Cubs, Al Kaline is to the Tigers.
Absolutely.
Great player, played his entire career in one uniform, and just a great ambassador for the franchise and the game.
Hunter strikes out, and we talked to Jim Leland about Torrey Hunter prior to the game tonight, his first season with the Tigers, and Jim said he added instant credibility and professionalism.
Well, he does. I like what his reaction was when you brought up his clubhouse influence. Yeah. Jim didn't really want to go there. He wants hits, he wants RBIs, but there's no doubt that he has that influence. And I think he practically ran to Detroit as a free agent with the opportunity to hit second in front of this guy, and with Prince Fielder behind him, there may not be a better spot in a lineup to hit baseball.
That's right. I asked Jim about what Hunter has meant to the clubhouse. He said, I care about what he does on the field a lot more than the clubhouse. Cabrera with a base hit into right field, and he beats the throw from Victorino, but not by much.
You know, these guys are buddies. I'm not sure how long they'll be buddies because Victorino did this last night as well. This is an inside-out blue pit to right field. Victorino's playing shallow, actually, and on the run, makes the throw to first base. I guess you can do that when you're buddies with someone because position players don't like that. It's one thing in the National League to try to nail a pitcher that way. Give Mike Karp credit there for being ready for a throw coming from right field. Don't exactly see guys work on that in spring training.
High and tight to Prince Fielder for ball 1.
He's going to have another talk with Mr. Victorino, I think. You're making me run hard. He's talking to him from first base.
And for Cabrera, that is his 106th hit of the season. No Tiger has ever had as many as 106 hits in 73 games since the man we just discussed, Al Kaline, back in 1955.
Check this out. They get close enough to share well, let's say pleasantries because they're both smiling. And that conversation is to be continued for sure.
Fielder flies out to the left fielder, Nava, to end the inning. Cabrera still chuckling about it. presented by Ace Hardware. We move to the 7th inning. Kenny Albert, Tom Verducci from Comerica Park. Tigers leading the Red Sox 7-2 as Mike Karp leads off against Max Scherzer. Karp making the start at first base for Mike Napoli as Torrey Hunter will chase down the beach ball in right field.
He's used to doing that out in Anaheim. Well versed in the art of beach ball retrieval. Do it again, Torrey. I always thought that was a funny thing, you know, when you pack to go to the ball game, you know, bring your car keys, you bring your cell phone, you bring a mitt in case foul balls hit your way. Beach ball? It was never on my list.
I assume you don't blow it up until you arrive at the ballpark. Much easier to get it past security. Karp has had a power surge as of late. 5 home runs in his last 11 games. Acquired late in spring training from the Seattle Mariners.
Yeah, that was very interesting because the Red Sox needed a left-handed bat for the bench. Late in spring training, they were looking at Lyle Overbay, Mitch Meyer, and Mike Karp. And Karp, honestly, on Seattle there, it sounds strange the way he's hit for Boston, but to fall into a numbers game where they did not have room for him. It's worked out great for Boston.
John Farrell telling us one of the reasons the Red Sox kept Karp, his ability to play the outfield. Ironic because Lyle Overbay has played some outfield as of late for the New York Yankees.
Well, he's just been crushing right-handed pitching, slugging over 700 against right-handers. And like a lot of guys, when they get out of that Safeco in Seattle, especially to Boston, they enjoy hitter-friendly park.
Karp strikes out. Strikeout number 5 for Max Scherzer. Chevrolet, the official vehicle of Major League Baseball, celebrating a new season for new memories. For your chance to win a community field makeover and an all-new 2014 Impala, visit ChevyBaseball.com. So Scherzer with 5 strikeouts. He has a streak, Tom, of at least 6 strikeouts in each of his 14 starts this season. The last to do that in the American League, and the only other pitcher to do that in the American League, is Pedro Martinez.
And Max might actually know that stat, because that's impressive company right there. And I'll tell you, Kenny, besides the strikeouts, it speaks to the depth that he gives, the length that he gives the Tigers. Start in, start out. He's averaging almost 7 innings over the course of this season. Here he is once again in the 7th inning. We talked earlier about how good this starting rotation is for Detroit. Well, one measurement is how few innings your bullpen has to pick up. And right now, only the Royals bullpen has thrown fewer innings than the Detroit bullpen. For a guy who started the game, down 2-0. 4 batters into the game. Not a surprise Max Scherzer is still out there.
Nava, deep right field. And it's chased down by Torrey Hunter. It's a baseball, not a beach ball. So now 2 away here in the top of the 7th inning. So Scherzer 1 strikeout away from joining Pedro Martinez as the only American League pitcher since 1921 to start a season with at least 15 consecutive games with 6 or more strikeouts. Pedro 14, 15, and 29 game streaks. Saltalamacchia with 2 away.
And this may be his last chance. As we see Albuquerque warming up in the bullpen. You see the pitch count there at 99. I wouldn't think there'd be a reason to push Max Scherzer into the 8th inning, given the lead and the pitch count.
Well, he'll take the victory. He won't worry about the strikeouts.
Well, that other number there you saw in his line score, Kenny, no walks. He'll take that any time, especially against this Boston team. Leads the league in on-base percentage, likes to drive up pitch counts.
How about this time? Scherzer has never pitched a complete game in the major leagues.
That's surprising. You know, obviously there's way fewer complete games now than it was a generation ago. That's just a matter of time for this guy.
This is 148th career start. Looking to make it 11-0 on the season. 2-2 to Saltalamacchia. Roger Clemens, last major league pitcher to start 11-0, did it back in '97. George Mullen, 1909, the only Tiger to start 11-0, but one of those victories came in relief.
All right, now you're talking impressive. You're bringing me back to 1909, Kenny. We're going back 104 years to find the only Tigers pitcher to start 11-0. And one of those was out of the bullpen.
There it is, his 6th strikeout. 15 straight games from the start of his season with 6 Ks. You're watching Baseball Night in America, presented by Ace Hardware. Is sponsored by MasterCard, preferred card of Major League Baseball since 1997, and by Bud Light Lime-A-Rita, and introducing new Strawberry-Rita. 7th inning stretch time here in Detroit, with the Tigers leading the Red Sox 7-2. Tigers scoring 4 runs at the bottom of the 1st inning against Alan Webster. There's Max Scherzer, who is looking for win number 11. His team leading by 5. And it was Victor Martinez who provided the runs in the 1st with his 3rd career grand slam. He leads off against Morales here in the 7th.
Boy, life is good, huh? Look at that smile on Max Scherzer's face. Lots of congrats all the way around. The only thing is, you got to watch out for Miguel Cabrera. Why? What? Hey, where'd that come from? Boy, things are going well for Max Scherzer, huh? Got his usual 7 runs. In line to push his record to 11-0.
His usual 6 or more strikeouts.
The usual 7 innings.
How about Victor Martinez, Tom? He had been 0 for 8 with the bases loaded this season prior to his grand slam home run of the first inning.
Boy, that had to feel good. I think it's just a matter of time. Guy who missed all of last year after the reconstructive knee surgery. Really, I think it's taken this long to start working off that rust. Always been one of the best clutch hitters in the game.
He's driven in 5 runs tonight, 2 shy of his career high. He's been on base all 3 times up. The 3-1 missing high, ball 4, so Martinez heads down to first. Well, who will it be for Jim Leyland on July 16th at Citi Field?
Oh, that's a tough call. I mean, obviously, Scherzer with that 1 lost record will get major consideration. Played Buchholz, pretty close to him with that 9-0 mark currently on the DL. You never go wrong with Felix Hernandez, and Yu Darvish, one of the most entertaining, best strikeout pitchers in the game. I don't know. Let's let this thing play out.
How about Justin Verlander?
He didn't even make the list.
May have a thing or 2 to say about that.
Yeah. Maybe we'll tweet something about it later.
I wouldn't be surprised.
He's got his eyes set on that home run derby.
He has to start lobbying Robinson Cano.
Team captain.
Peralta drove in a run his last time up, also struck out twice. You mentioned Clay Buchholz on the disabled list. As Alex Wilson is up and throwing in the Red Sox pen. John Farrell told us earlier, Buchholz improving, but not as fast as the Red Sox had hoped. There were indications that he may have started this coming Tuesday, but it sounds like that will not be the case.
Right. They were very hopeful of that. In fact, they had scheduled a bullpen session for today as kind of a last check, and just didn't feel well enough to throw on the bullpen. He did play catch and threw on flat ground, but now not on track to start Tuesday against Colorado. Progressing, just not where he needs to be quite yet.
Peralta down on strikes. There is Buchholz here at Comerica Park earlier today.
I mean, he aired it out pretty good, but again, you're not going to pitch him in a game until he gets on a mound. You know, all systems are go, but bothered by that neck, shoulder area. Hasn't pitched since the first week of June, and up until then, I would have said he was the lockdown guy to start the All-Star game.
Andy Dirks, 3 hits today. All singles. Tigers with a 7-2 lead. Bottom of the 7th inning here in Detroit. Tigers won the series opener Thursday 4-3 on a Johnny Peralta walk-off home run off Andrew Bailey in the bottom of the 9th. And then it was the Red Sox chasing Doug Fister early in last night's game. He did not make it out of the 4th, allowing 6 earned runs in a 10-6 Red Sox victory. Scherzer a perfect 10-0. Dirks becomes strikeout victim number 4 of Morales. The Fox Sports 1 fan cam caught fans here at the ballpark who are very excited about Fox Sports 1, America's new sports network, coming this August. Two away. Here's Omar Infante, 0 for 3. The only Tiger who has not reached base tonight. Two runs, 6 hits for the Red Sox, 7 runs on 12 hits for the Tigers. Justin Verlander and Felix Dubronc in the series finale tomorrow. Infante, deep left field, gone. A 2-run shot, number 5 on the year for Infante. Tigers now lead 9-2.
Just an off-speed pitch that stays up for Infante, middle of the plate. Crushes it out to left field. Doesn't hit a lot of them, but got all of that one.
That way will be all for Franklin Morales, with the Tigers leading by 7. All-Star Game July 16th from Citi Field, right here on Fox. Third pitcher of the game for Boston, the 26-year-old right-hander Alex Wilson, recalled on Tuesday from AAA. It's his third stint with the Red Sox this season. He was born in Saudi Arabia, second Major League Baseball player all time. Born in Saudi Arabia. Craig Stansberry of the Padres was the first. Alex's dad was a geologist working there at the time. Attended high school in West Virginia, then on to Texas A&M, facing Brian Pena with the bases empty and 2 outs following the Infante home run. 2-run shot off Morales.
Kenny, we saw when the pitching change was made, the trainer actually went out to the mound with John Farrell. We couldn't tell. It didn't seem to be any signs of discomfort from Franklin Morales, but I'm not sure whether that was precautionary or not.
Fonte, the final Tiger to reach base tonight with his 2-run home run. Now Pena shoots it into left. Coming on is Nava. So the inning comes to an end. Tigers and 2 runs. Youngsters having fun at the ballpark here in the Motor City on a Saturday night. Cave.com and pledge your National League or American League allegiance. Don't miss the action of the 2013 All-Star Game Tuesday, July 16th at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, right here on Fox. Top of the 8th inning in Detroit as Stephen Drew leads off against the 26-year-old right-hander Al Albuquerque. On in relief of Max Scherzer, who allowed 2 runs on 6 hits in 7 innings. 17th appearance for Albuquerque this season. And you know, Tom, our veteran statistician Marty Aronoff feeds us great nuggets all game long. First pitch strikes for Scherzer and swinging strikes for Alan Webster, the Red Sox starter. But I will tell you after this pitch why Marty gets paid the big bucks. Ready for this?
Yeah, let's go.
Marty reminding us that the pitcher's last name is not spelled exactly the same way as the largest city in New Mexico. There is an extra letter. The 5th letter of Albuquerque's last name is an R. That R does not exist in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Thanks to Marty.
There's that extra R. Nice going, Marty. That's a great pickup. And that's so you just didn't confuse the pitcher with the city?
That's right.
Well, you know, he was sent down earlier this season to the minor leagues for some remedial strike throwing lessons, and Jim Leyland's not going to be happy about that. There's no question this guy has wipeout stuff, especially one of the best sliders in all of baseball. But throwing strikes has been a problem, throwing them consistently.
So Drew on at first. Here is Iglesias. It's too bad that Saltalamacchia made the last out in the 7th inning. Saltalamacchia, the longest last name in Major League history with 14 letters. Albuquerque with 12.
That's a beat writer's nightmare when you're on deadline.
Iglesias with a base hit into center field. Drew moves to second. So the first two batters reach base against Albuquerque here in the top of the 8th inning.
And by the way, with that hit from Iglesias, I mean, can we say it now? He's the everyday third baseman for the Red Sox? It sure seems like that way. Yep. I mean, listen, he's hitting too well, and we know how well he is defensively, but you just can't get him out of the lineup right now. And that presents a problem for Boston in terms of Will Middlebrooks.
Kobe Ellsbury takes ball one for Iglesias. 2 more hits tonight. He's reached base in 25 consecutive games. He is now 46 for 105.
When I say a problem for Middlebrooks, I mean that by playing time. Because with a young player, you don't want Middlebrooks to just sit and watch. He needs to play. And now with Iglesias really taking charge, you see Middlebrooks right there. You know, I believe soon they'll have to face a decision about if they need to send Middlebrooks down just to get him playing.
Middlebrooks got off to the hot start in April, hit 3 home runs in 1 game in Toronto. But it certainly appears as if Iglesias has won the job. Left center, long run for the left fielder Dirks. He makes the catch to retire Ellsbury for out number 1. So with 2 on and 1 out, Albuquerque will face.
Now there's Iglesias. Clearly he's compromised something in his lower half there. We went back to the double he had in the 5th inning where he stumbled going into second base. We noticed defensively chasing a pop-up, really favoring that leg, and you really saw it right there.
And there's Middlebrooks in the Red Sox dugout. Victorino behind at the count, 0-2, as we continue to keep an eye on Iglesias at first.
And Middlebrooks essentially lost his job because of an injury. We'll see.
Victorino down on strikes for out number 2.
Well, we talked about his slider, Kenny, and it doesn't matter right-handers or left-handers. I mean, look at that movement. It's just crazy. He'll throw that pitch 2 out of every 3 pitches. He'll go to that slider.
Red Sox 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position, as Dustin Pedroia steps in with 2 on, 2 out. Top of the 8th inning. Tigers leading 9-2. Pedroia quiet night at the plate. He's 0 for 3.
Now here's a number on Pedroia that surprised me, Kenny. Tied for the American League lead in infield hits with Mike Trout. Mike Trout, you say, of course, he's as fast as anybody down the line, including from the right side, or especially from the right side. Pedroia, you don't think of having that kind of speed. But what he does so well is he gets out of the box quickly for a right-handed hitter. And you know you're going to get 100% effort every time. Wouldn't say he's a burner. He's made himself into a very good base runner and actually has improved upon his speed since his college days. I think it's the way he gets out of the batter's box. For a guy with a big swing, that's impressive.
16 infield hits for Pedroia this season. Albuquerque on in relief of Scherzer, in line for his 11th win of the season against no defeats over his first 15 starts. 2-2. Pedroia, center field. Jackson. Inning comes to an end. Red Sox strand 2. Albuquerque celebrates. Middle of the 8th in Detroit. The official lawn care company of Major League Baseball. And by Chevrolet. Find new roads. Bottom of the 8th inning in Detroit. Tigers lead the Red Sox 9-2. Top of the order for Detroit. Austin Jackson with 2 hits and a run batted in tonight for the Tigers leads things off. They'll be followed by Hunter, then Cabrera. Alex Wilson retired, the only batter he faced in the 7th inning. Red Sox starter Alan Webster, 3rd career start, first on the road. Allowed a 1st inning grand slam to Victor Martinez. Pitched 4 to 3rd. Allowing 5 runs on 8 hits. Jackson with his 3rd hit of the game as he singles to right. Leadoff man on for the Tigers here in the 8th. Ted Barrett, the crew chief and home plate umpire, wearing a microphone for us tonight. Let's listen.
He's at first yesterday leading off, and he yells, "Time!" Pitcher said, I'm like, I'm not giving you time. He's like, "Why not?" ¿Cómo está, papi? ¿Todo bien? Hola, Jose. ¿Cómo está? Bien, bien. I've been out in Phoenix about 20 years, but...
Ted Barrett, boys. That was some pretty good Spanish he was dropping on the players, huh?
Sure was.
I'm impressed.
One of the base runners attempting to call time from first base last night. Not sure Ted has seen that one before, but
that's a nice trick.
He was not fooled.
Yeah, I've never heard of that one before. I'll tell you, you can tell he's called a solid game, Kenny, because that montage we had right there, it's the first time we talked about him.
That's right. Two hits for Torrey Hunter tonight. Fox Sports 1 coming August 17th, America's new sports network.
In fact, I can't recall a pitch, Kenny, where a hitter has done a double take, or a pitcher stared in, or a catcher held the ball.
Hunter with his third base hit of the game. And the throw to first by Victorino once again. Tried to nail Cabrera last time. And now the fans voicing their displeasure towards the Red Sox right fielder.
Well, he has been playing a shallow right field. He actually has a shot, more of a play here than on the Cabrera one. It looks like he's in shallower. The throw's just offline.
Hey, why not try it?
Why not? And I guarantee you the advanced scouts will all include that in their reports. Base hit to right field, you better get down the line.
Cabrera 1 for 3 with a walk. 2 on, nobody out. Bottom of the 8th inning. You know, Tom, you look at Cabrera's numbers this season, Triple Crown winner last year, and he's certainly in the running once again. And how about Chris Davis of the Orioles?
He is right there with him. A little higher OPS, as you see right there. And this is going to be a fun one to watch all year.
No player has ever won a Triple Crown in back-to-back seasons. Ted Williams and Rogers Hornsby, the only two-time Triple Crown winners, but they did not do it in back-to-back years.
You know, he's so amazing. It's one thing for us to sit here and we can throw, and we have all these numbers at you. They're just so impressive. But it's another thing when you hear the people in uniform talk about Miguel Cabrera. You know, John Lester gave up a home run last night, said he threw the best changeup of his life, and Cabrera hit it out of the ballpark. Which prompted John Lester to say, this guy needs to go to a higher league. He's too good for this one.
Highest average in the season following a Triple Crown.
Some pretty good names on that list, huh?
Now the 2-2 from Wilson. Cabrera stays alive.
And a conversation with John Farrell as well before the game. Unsolicited, just couldn't stop just praising Miguel Cabrera. It actually said it's fun watching him hit. Now he's sitting in the other dugout, but we got the point that he's doing things on a level no one else in the game is doing right now.
Two on, nobody out. The 2-2, and Cabrera fouls it off to the right side.
Yeah, what makes a good hitter? Watch his head here stay on this ball, Kenny. Even after the ball comes off the bat. Watch how long he stays on this ball.
This past Thursday, June 20th, was the 10th anniversary of Cabrera's Major League debut with the Marlins. He hit a walk-off home run in that game and has not stopped since.
Yeah, it's funny. He took the same swing there where his head stayed there after hitting the baseball. I've seen guys take drills where they'll do that just to exaggerate the head not leaving the contact point. He's doing it in real time and game speed.
Fourth in home run since making his debut. David Ortiz third on that list. Went deep in the first inning tonight. For fans here in Detroit, catch tomorrow's game on Fox Sports Detroit. Finale of this Four-game series. Coverage starts at noon. Justin Verlander goes for win number 9 against the left-hander Felix Dubront. Payoff pitch to Cabrera. Low and away, ball 4. So the Tigers load the bases. Here are the 8th for Prince Fielder. Fielder came up in the same situation back in the first inning. Bases loaded, nobody out, and Webster struck him out. Jackson, Hunter, and Cabrera, the base runners.
Obviously a dangerous spot here for Wilson, a guy who really attacks with fastballs with no place to put Fielder, behind on the count.
Up the middle, flip to second, throw to first is in time. So the Red Sox turn 2, but a run scores. And the Tigers now lead 10-2.
You know, I talked earlier about Austin Jackson making a tough play look easy. Watch Pedroia make this pivot here. His back is fully to the runner. He has to turn around, get rid of it quickly, off balance sidearm. Look where his back is facing the runner. I mean, that's a 180 right there. And he makes a strong, accurate throw. Nice play by Drew, getting the ball, good feed. But this spin move here by Pedroia looks easy. Well, that's because he's that good. That's why a lot of infielders on the left side, shortstops and third basemen, don't want any part of second base with your back to the runner.
Victor Martinez with 2 away and runner on third, Torrey Hunter. After the Red Sox took a 2-0 lead, it was Martinez who provided the big blow. Grand slam home run off Webster in the first inning. He's driven in 5 runs, doubled in a run in the 5th.
There was a lot in that stat line we had there. That's called filling up the box score, huh?
He's filled it up tonight against one of his former clubs.
That average starting to creep up, 236. Look at that. It's a busy night right there.
Now 1-2 on Martinez. His numbers with the Red Sox after 8 seasons in Cleveland. One, 2 from Wilson. He misses inside, ball 2.
You know, we talk about having a stat for everything these days. Dave Dombrowski had one about Victor Martinez. That he was coming into this game in the top 10 in hardest hit balls. Percentage of balls hit hard. What does that mean? An indication he's swinging the bat better than what his average shows. Maybe hitting in some tough luck. Now he's starting to get that average up there where we can actually look at the scoreboard. 236, it's not bad.
Left field and deep. Nava on the run, and he makes the basket catch on the warning track. So Martinez is retired. Tigers add a run in the 8th. We head to the 9th, 10-2 Detroit. Ninth inning, Tigers 10 and the Red Sox 2. Right-hander Luke Pakonen, the third Tigers pitcher tonight, will face David Ortiz leading off for the Red Sox here in the top of the ninth inning. No need for a closer tonight. Tigers yesterday designated Jose Valverde for assignment.
Yeah, and they're interested in having him go to the minor leagues. He has to pass through waivers first for that to happen. I don't believe there's a likelihood he would be claimed or someone would take on his $2 million salary. Could happen, but I don't think that's expected. Then his decision is, do I take the assignment, go to Toledo, or maybe go to somebody else's organization? Start over, fresh start, change of scenery.
Jim Leyland told us, we hope that he accepts the assignment if in fact he does clear waivers.
Yeah, and I asked him about that because they have the young, real hard thrower down there closing games, Bruce Rondon.
Ortiz with a base hit into right field, his second hit of the night.
Yeah, Torrey Hunter charging that ball hard. Wants a little payback for what Victorino's been doing for the Tigers tonight. Watch this here. You know, Prince Fielder's not expecting a throw, but Victoria's just having some fun there. As he always does.
Mike Karp takes ball one.
But, you know, talking about Rondon, I asked Jim Leyland, well, if Valverde does go to Toledo, go to the minor leagues in AAA, who would close? And he said Rondon would still close. In fact, maybe even stretch out Valverde a little bit. Maybe have him pitch more than one inning at a time just to make sure he gets the work in. Try to regain his form.
Hunter Victorino still laughing about it. Hunter trying to conceal his laughter.
Oh, those are two of the funniest, most extroverted guys in the game right there.
The flying Hawaiian. One to Karp. Now 2-2.
We got to borrow Ted Barrett's microphone, put it on Victorino.
That would be entertaining. On the ground to the right side. And the Tigers unable to turn two as Fielder was off the bag, so Karp safe at first, Ortiz out at second. Time now for the King play of the game, brought to you by Burger King, where taste is king. First inning, Victor Martinez, third career grand slam off Alan Webster, making only his third major league start. That gave the Tigers a 4-2 lead. Martinez would drive in another run in the fifth inning. And the Red Sox have not scored since the first. Great job by our entire crew here in Detroit, led by producer Jeff Gowan, who celebrated a birthday this week. Happy birthday to Jeff. Our director Jim Lynch, associate director Chirag Devaskar, associate producer Andy Kavanaugh, technical producer Dan Rotante, technical director Simon Benazra, statisticians Marty Aronoff, Mark Seguro, and Matt Banovic. Pre-game show produced by Marty Montalto and directed by Mike Martin. Diego Nava 0 for 3. Diego Nava now 1 for 4. As he singles to left center, moving Karp over to second. So we did not get the Albuquerque Saltalamacchia matchup we were hoping for.
No, we didn't, and the beat writers just breathed a sigh of relief. Imagine typing that out, 162 games a year.
No. Ball one to Saltalamacchia, who is 0 for 3 tonight.
But you do get some long games with these two teams, with the offenses that they have. We've seen it now back-to-back nights. Red Sox had the better of it last night. Tonight it's Detroit breaking out.
10 runs for the Red Sox last night, 10 runs for the Tigers here tonight.
Boston leading the league in runs per game. Detroit third.
Two and one. Saltalamacchia, 1 out, top of the 9th inning. 2 men on for the Red Sox. Base hit into left field. Rounding third, and coming home is Carp. So the Red Sox with their first run since the first inning. It's now a 10-3 game. 29th run batted in of the season for Saltalamacchia.
As a hitter, you just keep grinding. See the last 2 hitters for Boston, both hitless throughout this night. Grinding out at bats and picking up base hits.
Pitching coach Jeff Jones out to the mound. Pekonen has allowed 3 hits here in the 9th inning. Trying to close out the Red Sox. Tigers with a 7-run lead. Stephen Drew 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. Had 3 hits in last night's game. 2 on, 1 out, top of the 9th inning on Baseball Night in America. Barring a miracle comeback by the Red Sox, as Phil Koch and Evan Reed are up in the Tigers' pen, Max Scherzer will become the first Tiger in history to start a season 11-0 with all 11 wins coming as a starting pitcher.
That's just so impressive. You know, we talked about the run support, and I get that. That's certainly a part of any pitcher's one-loss record on the positive or negative side, depending on what kind of runs he gets. But this has just been a run of incredible consistency by Max Scherzer. You have to believe there's some games where you just don't have your stuff. And it looked like maybe that would be tonight in the first inning, when Boston jumped on him for a couple of runs, 5 batters into the game. But Max Scherzer, same old Max Scherzer, there he is still in the 7th inning with the game in hand, in line for another win.
The 2-1 to Drew. Now 2-2. We mentioned earlier George Mullen of the 1909 Tigers, who still holds the franchise record for career innings pitched, and a man who once pinch hit for Ty Cobb. He was a pitcher, and he pinch hit for Ty Cobb. The only Detroit Tiger to start the season 11-0, but one of those wins came in relief. Scherzer would be the first Tiger to start a season 11-0 with all 11 wins as a starter. On the ground to the second baseman, Infante, and that will do it. 4-6-3 double play. Scherzer 11-0. Tigers win it 10-3. For Tom Verducci and our entire crew, Kenny Albert saying good night from Detroit. Coming up after this break, we'll send it to Greg Amsinger and Mitch Williams at the MLB Network studios for post-game coverage.